Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Canto 4, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, Text 11. Shrutena tapasa vakyam
Shrutina tapasa vakyam
vachobhishchita vrittibhi
Vachobhishchittavrittibhi
buddhya vakyam nipunaya
buddhya
Kim
vakyam
Nipunaya
balanendriya radasa.
Bale Nendriya Radasa.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities? Process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, and the power of the senses. From the Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishad 3.2.3, we learn Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Na Medhaya Na Bahu Na Shrutena Yam Evesha Renute Tena Labhyas Tas Yesha Atma Vivrenute Tanum Swam. Our relationship with the Supreme Lord is never advanced by simple study of the Vedas. There are many Mayavadi sannyasis fully engaged in studying the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and Upanishads, but unfortunately, they cannot grasp the real essence of knowledge. In other words, they do not know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then is the use in studying all the Vedas if one cannot grasp the essence of the Vedas, Krishna? So what we are trying to understand is the essence. If one has studied the Vedas, then one has to understand Krishna. If one has not concluded that Krishna is the Supreme Lord by studying the Vedas, that means one has not studied the Vedas. The Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedascha sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So the Vedas are given to us so that we can understand our relationship with God. Who is God? What's our relationship with Him? And when we understand that, then we have understood the Vedas. There are many religious systems wherein penances and austerities are greatly stressed, but at the end, no one understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is therefore no point in such penance, tapasya. So where the suggestion is there only for the sake, the tapasya only for the sake of doing it, but not for the pleasure of God, then such an undertaking, there's no meaning to that such an undertaking. If one has actually approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he does not need to undergo severe austerities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood through the process of devotional service. Krishna says in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. So if we want to understand God, we have to engage in devotional service. We have to hear about Him, hear His glories. We have to chant His name. In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, devotional service is explained as Rajagoyam, the king of all confidential knowledge. So Krishna, He's giving us knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. He gives us confidential knowledge that we are not the body, we are the soul. Then He gives us more confidential knowledge of the devotional service. And He gives us even more confidential knowledge. He tells us, surrender unto me. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is trying to explain to us our relationship with Him. He's saying, surrender unto me and engage in devotional service. He says, Mamavamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that all the living entities are my parts and parcels. So this is confidential knowledge that Krishna is giving us. There are many good reciters of Vedic literatures, and they recite works such as the Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these professional readers manifest very good scholarship and exhibit word jugglery. Unfortunately, they are never devotees of the Supreme Lord. So mere recitation does not please Krishna. It's devotion that attracts Krishna's heart. So there may be someone who's able to recite, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, someone can recite very perfectly, perfect ways to chant the verses, Ramayana, speaking it in a very poetic way, but one may be doing it only as a matter of practice. Unfortunately, they are never devotees of the Supreme Lord. Consequently, they cannot impress upon the audience the real essence of knowledge, Krishna. So that's the reason it's so important to hear from the devotees. Prabhupada would say purity is the force. Because the devotee has devotion, then he can deliver Krishna to us. There are also many thoughtful writers and creative philosophers, but despite all their learning, if they cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're simply useless mental speculators. There are many sharply intelligent people in this material world, and they discover so many things for sense gratification. They also analytically study all the material elements, but despite their expert knowledge and expert scientific analysis of the whole cosmic manifestation, their endeavors are useless because they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one may study the universe, one may study how nature is working. But if we don't try to understand who's the creator, who's the person behind the nature, then there is no real meaning to the study. Because after all, we have to understand God. Krishna says by understanding Him, we don't need to take birth in the material world again. Janma karma cha me divyam, he says in Bhagavad Gita. He says, try to understand that my form, my activities are transcendental. And by understanding this, you don't need to come to this material world again. So all the knowledge is there, the Vedas are there for us to understand God, our relationship with God, and how to approach God. How to approach God, that is devotional service. By hearing and chanting, we can approach Him. As far as our senses are concerned, there are many animals, both beasts and birds, who are very expert in exercising their senses more keenly than human beings. For example, vultures and hawks can go very high in the sky, but can see a small body on the ground very clearly. This means that their eyesight is so keen that they can find an eatable corpse from a great distance. Certainly, their eyesight is much keener than human beings. But this does not mean that their existence is more important than that of a human being. Similarly, dogs can smell many things from a far distance. Many fish can understand by the power of sound that an enemy is coming. All these examples are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. If one's senses cannot help him attain the highest perfection of life, realization of the Supreme, they are all useless. So Prabhupada is trying to say that the senses we have been given the senses. And the animals have even sharper senses than us. Your Prabhupada is giving the example, the vulture from very high in the sky, it can see down its prey, what it can eat. And we can't see so far, we don't have such vision. Now that we can't even see nearby, we have to wear glasses. So how can we compare our sight to these vultures and eagles and hawks? They have great eyesight. And then dogs, they smell. We may be thinking, okay, I can smell, but dogs can smell even more. Or the fish can hear very well. But the importance of the senses is to be able to understand God. If one's senses cannot help him attain the highest perfection of life, realization of the Supreme, they are all useless. So, a human being, we have been given senses, we have been given this type of senses by which we can approach God, by which we can engage in devotional service. We have been given suitable tongue to chant the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. To be able to speak the glories of God. We have been given suitable ears so that we can hear the name and glories of God. We have been given suitable eyes by which we can see the deity, can read. We have been given suitable mind and intelligence to understand God. You can see the human body is designed in such a way for us to understand God. Kimva yogena sankhena
Kim va yogena sankhena
nyasa svadhyayayorapi
न्यायास्याध्यायोरपि
kimva shreyobhir anyascha
किं वा श्रेयोऽपि अन्यस्य
अन्यस्य
na yatratma pradohari.
न
न
यत्रात्मा प्रदो
प्रदो
हरि.
Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless, be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of matter, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, all these processes are useless. So there are so various practices, transcendental practices. There's meditation, there's the Sankhya philosophy, there is austerity, there is sannyas, there is studying the Vedas. But what is all that use? These are the processes, but what is the goal? To understand God. If we just get stuck in the process, then that means we have not mastered the process. For example, if one is studying, then the goal, so one wants to be a lawyer. So one studies, one practices. Then for what? To become the lawyer. Not that you keep studying for life. So similarly, all these practices are there. There are various practices. But what's the goal? To understand God. In Caitaniya Caritamita, Madhya 24.109, it is said, Bhakti vina kevala jnane mukti nahi haya. Bhakti sadhana kare ye prapta brahmalaya. Impersonalists do not take to devotional service, but take to other practices, such as the analytical study of the material elements, the discrimination between matter and spirit, and the mystic yoga system. These are beneficial only insofar as they are complementary to devotional service. So all other processes such as Gyan or Dhyan or Sankhya, they are there. The fruit, the perfection of these practices can be achieved when one accepts bhakti, when one engages in bhakti. So bhakti is the main process. So if one is following Gyan, then they can follow, but they have to come to the point of bhakti to be able to get the result of Gyan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without a touch of devotional service, Gyan, Yoga, and Sankhya philosophy cannot give one the desired results. The impersonalists wish to merge into the Supreme Brahman. However, merging into the Supreme Brahman also requires a touch of devotional service. So we can see that the Gyan yogi, for him to get perfection, also he has to do devotional service to be able to understand, oh, there is a Supreme Lord. The absolute truth is realized in three phases: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these require a touch of devotional service. Sometimes it is actually seen that these Mayavadis also chant the Hare Krishna Mantra, although their motive is to merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Absolute. The yogis also at times take to chanting the Hare Krishna Mantra, but the process is different from that of the bhaktas. In all processes, karma, jnana, yoga, bhakti is required. That is the purport of this verse. So Krishna speaks of the yoga ladder in Bhagavad Gita, beginning with the karma, then comes gyan, then comes dhyan, and the highest is bhakti. So one can take these step-by-step processes, or one can take directly to bhakti. But whatever the choice is ours, it's our free will. Shreyasam api sarvesham
Sham api sarvesham
atma hi avadir arthata
Atma hi avatir arthatha
sarvesham api bhutanam
sarvesham api bhutanam
bhutanam
harir atma mada priya.
hari
atma
atmadapriyaha.
Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all self-realization. Consequently, the goal of all auspicious activities, karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entity is the marginal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the material world is the external energy. So we are the Tatashta Shakti, and the material world is the Bahiranga Shakti, external energy. Under the circumstances, one must understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is factually the original source of both matter and spirit. So we exist because God exists. The material energy exists because God exists. We are God's energy. So God is the origin, our origin, both origin of the spirit soul and also the origin of the material energy. This is explained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 7.4 to 5. Bhumir apo nalo vayu khammano buddhireva cha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakritir ashtadha apareyam itasva anyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharayete jagat. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 comprise mind, separated material energies. But besides this inferior nature, O mighty Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which consists of all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. So Krishna is saying very clearly in chapter 7, text 4 to 5, he's saying this material energy belongs to him. The material energy, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, belongs to him. He's saying this is inferior. And he's saying there is another superior energy. And the superior energy are the spirit souls. And they also belong to him. And he's saying they're struggling here in the material nature and they're sustaining the universe. It's true, no? Here we are, because the spirit soul is here, that's the reason we are seeing whatever development that's happening. We are making, for example, we combine the elements, make buildings, combine elements, make laptops, mobiles, whatever, different things. We till the land, grow the food, and cut the crops and make it available for everyone. So, but Krishna is saying that both the material energy and the living entity both belong to him. No one else can say that. No one else says that. Only Krishna says this. Nobody else is. And no Lord Brahma, no Lord Shiva, they never say such things. Only Krishna says. Why? Because the truth is that everyone belongs to Krishna. That's why he's saying it. And that's why we are trying to study it. God is the highest authority, He's the greatest authority. Sorry. The entire cosmic manifestation is but a combination of matter and spirit. You can see our body also. It's a combination of matter and spirit. Earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. We are there. It's matter. And then the spirit, the soul. We are inside this body. The spiritual part is the living entity, and these living entities are described as Prakriti or energy. The living entity is never described as Purusha, the Supreme Person. Therefore, to identify the living entity with the Supreme Lord is simply ignorance. Yeah, Prakriti, we are always energy. Purusha is God. He's the Supreme Person. We are His energy. There's a difference between the energy and the energetic. The difference in the potency is there. The living entity is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, although there is factually no difference between the energy and the energetic. The duty of the living entity is to understand his real identity. So the potency is different. Factually, there is not, because Satchidananda, God Satchidananda, we are Satchidananda. But what God can do, we can't do. We are individual souls. God, He's the Supreme Soul. So now Prabhupada is using the word duty. It's our duty to understand our real identity. When he does, Krishna gives him all the facilities to come to the platform of devotional service. That is the perfection of life. This is indicated in the Vedic Upanishad. Yam evesha vrinute tena labhyas tas yesha atma vivrinute tanum swam. Lord Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam vachatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam apayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The conclusion is that one must come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga, even though one may begin with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Ashtanga Yoga. Unless one comes to the platform of Bhakti Yoga, self-realization or realization of the absolute truth cannot be achieved. So if one at all wants to understand God, one has to come to Bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. God Himself is saying, I can be known only by devotion. So Prabhupada is explaining one can take up the process of karma or jnana or dhyan. But all these processes can find their perfection only when one comes to bhakti. Otherwise, there cannot be any self-realization or God realization. And that's why the Shastras also stating, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. 3 times is repeated. There is no other way, no other way, no other way than chanting the holy names of God. Are there any questions or comments?
Just that again and again they are stressing on bhakti. Again and again. Sorry, I think it's too loud.
Yeah, again and again stressing on bhakti. That's right. Thank you. Because we may think, okay, I might, we may think, okay, I might produce, or what do you say? I can make another new process. You know, we are very, our minds are very fertile in that way. So we may think we can create a new process, but we are being told that don't waste time. Don't try to imagine that you will find something. Just engage in bhakti.
Yeah, because I think bhakti is the easiest process. He just asks us to chant. It is the easiest. Rather, the other processes are not that easy.
Yeah, but it's not as easy as we think, you know. It's easy, yes. It is easy, yes, but it's not as easy. That's the reason why many people don't take it up.
No, but I think that people think that from bhakti, because what I have seen, people want results in the sense material benefits, and
Hmm.
they don't want to do things just for pleasing somebody uselessly. They think, अरे तुम करते जा रहे हो, इसमें है क्या? They want the material things. No, the problem is that we all want material benefits.
Hmm. True. That's true.
That's why it doesn't look easy to us, because it, if you really do it with a true heart, then it gives pleasure to you. Just putting that one tulsi leaf at his lotus feet gives you pleasure. But we don't want that pleasure. We want something material out of it, but we don't know that we are already getting everything. He will take care of everything. We forget
Yes.
that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. So then going, and as you said, yes, bhakti is actually the most simplest of all processes. One does not need very long lives or undertake very difficult endeavors. One simply needs to hear and chant, worship the deity. Yes, thank you so much. Yatha tarormula nishacanena
Yatha taru vishechaneena
tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha
tripyanti tatskanda bhuja upashakha
pranopaharacha chayathendriyanam
प्राण उपहराय च यथा इन्द्रियाणाम्
tathaiva sarvarhanam haranam achyuteja.
तथैव सर्वान् अर्हणम् अच्युत इच्छा.
As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Sometimes people ask why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of the demigods. The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. So Prabhupada is saying that, sometimes people say, oh, why not worship the demigods? Why exclusively worship Krishna? So this verse is giving the explanation. In Bhagavad Gita 15.1, it is said, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham. This cosmic manifestation has expanded downward. And the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, Krishna is saying. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. So, as we are hearing the example, watering the root of the tree. When the root is watered, all the twigs, branches, everything becomes healthy and green. Everyone gets water. Krishna is the root of everything. So serving Krishna means we are serving everyone. Just like putting food into the stomach, we put food in the mouth so that it can go to the stomach. Then with that, all our limbs become healthy, hands, legs, eyes, everything becomes healthy. We don't have to separately give food to hands and separately to the legs. We try to do that by separately worshipping the demigods. But if we can simply serve Krishna, worship Krishna, then we are automatically serving the demigods. We are automatically worshipping all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed. And sometimes it is argued that bhakti also requires karma and jnana for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. We just heard in the last verse that, if we are following the process of karma or jnana or dhyan, yes, we can. It's our choice. We can, but at one point we will have to take a bhakti to be able to get the perfection of that process. But bhakti is not dependent. Bhakti is not dependent on karma and jnana. Devotion, love to God is not dependent on any mental speculation or anything material. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyavilashita Shunya, Jnana Karmadhyanavyutam. Pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and jnana. Modern societies involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask what harm there is in worshipping Krishna and the different parts of his body, the demigods, and the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, Krishna Seva, everything is complete. As confirmed in Caitaniya Caritamita Madhya Lila 22.62, Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Kritahaya. If one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. So worship to Krishna is the highest worship. Krishna is God, and all the demigods are his parts and parcels. And by worshipping God, we are automatically worshipping the demigods. We are automatically respecting them. We are automatically worshipping them. We do not need to make a separate endeavor in this regard. And if at all we want to worship the demigods, then we can ask them to give us devotion to Krishna. The demigods are devotees of Krishna, so we can ask them for devotion to Krishna. Did anyone want to add anything to that?
I just want to say that whenever there is Ganesh Chaturthi, people feel offended that, oh, why can't we pray to Ganesha? But this is a false conception that don't pray to him, because he's also a devotee of Krishna, and he can, if you pray, you can ask him that, please, can you give me bhakti at lotus feet of Krishna? So we just forget to connect all of them to Krishna. We want to worship them as an individual God who will give me gyan, wealth, everything. But we just forget that no, because they themselves are such a big devotees of Krishna, then, and we always want the association of devotees, and then they have that power to give us bhakti. So that is, they don't ask us to disrespect. It is just that we forget to connect them to Krishna. So I think that we should try to connect them to Krishna, and on that special day, they can give us bhakti.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. Yatheva Surya Prabhavanti Vara.
Yatheva
Surya Prabhavanti Varaha
Punascha tasmin pravishanti kale.
Punascha tasmin pravishanti kale.
Bhutani bhumastirajangamani.
Bhutani bhumo
Stirajangmani.
Tatha haraveva guna pravaha.
tatha
Haraveva
haraveva guna pravaha.
During the rainy season, water is generated from the sun and in due course of time. During the summer season, the very same water is again absorbed by the sun. Similarly, all living entities, moving and inert, are generated from the earth, and again, after some time, they all return to the earth as dust. Similarly, everything emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in due course of time, everything enters into Him again. Because of their poor fund of knowledge, impersonalist philosophers cannot understand how everything comes out from the Supreme Person and then merges into Him again. So the creation has been a matter of discussion for many scientists, many philosophers. Many people are not able to understand the creation. Why? Because we are taking the creator out of the creation and we try to put different theories without putting the creator there. So as Brahma Samhita 540 confirms, Yassa Prabha Prabhavato Jagat Andakoti Koteshva Ashesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Bhinnam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Transcendental rays emanate from the body of Krishna, and within those rays, which are the Brahman effulgence, everything is existing. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Although Krishna is not personally present everywhere, his energy is the cause of all creation. The entire cosmic manifestation is nothing but a display of Krishna's energy. So the Brahmajyoti, the Brahman effulgence, which is coming from Krishna's body, that is everywhere. That is all pervading. The person Krishna, where is he? He's in Golok Vrindavan. But this Brahmajyoti is everywhere. This Brahman effulgence is everywhere. So his energy is the cause of all creation. And this material energy is Krishna's energy. It's a display of Krishna's energy, cosmic manifestation. So we get bewildered by the creation, how creation happens, and we put forth different theories. It's because we are forgetting the creator. When we understand the creator is there behind the creation, then it becomes easy to understand it. The two examples given in this verse are very vivid. During the rainy season, the rain, by rejuvenating the production of vegetables on earth, enables man and animals to obtain living energy. When there is no rain, food is scarce, and man and animals simply die. All vegetables, as well as moving living entities, are originally products of the earth. They come from the earth and again they merge into the earth. Similarly, the total material energy is generated from the body of Krishna, and at such a time, the entire cosmic manifestation is visible. When Krishna winds up his energy, everything vanishes. So, Prabhupada is explaining that, when there is rain, there is production of crops, there's vegetables, there's man, animals, everything. We can see so much manifestation is there. And then when there is no rain, there is no food, everyone is dying, everyone goes back to the earth. So they came from the earth, the fruits, the vegetables, the crops. Man and animals were sustaining on this. So everything came from earth, and when they die, they're returning to the earth. So this is a way to understand that the material energy, where is this material energy coming from? Coming from Krishna. It's coming from Krishna, then it has different manifestations. And then when Krishna winds it, everything goes back in him. You know, when the scientists say that the total energy remains the same, it just keeps on changing its form. Like, suppose the water gets condensed into clouds, you know, and then it's coming down at rain. So, like, the total energy remains the same, just getting transformed from one to another. This is explained in different way in Brahma Samhita 5.48. Yasyeka nishvasita kalam athavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagat andanatha Vishnur mahansa iha yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tam aham bhajami. This entire material creation comes from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of annihilation again enters into him. This process of creation and dissolution is made possible by the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is only a plenary portion of Krishna. So Brahmaji, he is the highest authority in this universe. He's the oldest person in this universe. He's the original person in this universe. He's known as the secondary creator, and he's telling us, where is this material creation coming from? He's saying it's coming from the body of God. So who can be a higher authority than Lord Brahma? You know, are we higher authorities than Lord Brahma? Here Lord Brahma is saying that the material creation is coming from the body of God, and when it's annihilated, it again enters into God's body. And it is when Mahavishnu breathes up, this material world is being manifested, and he's telling us who's Mahavishnu. He's saying Mahavishnu is a plenary portion of Krishna. So he's giving us all these truths here. Lord Brahma himself. Etat padam ta jagadatmana param.
Jagatmana param
Sakret vibhatam savitur yatha prabha.
Sakrit Vivatam Savitur Prabha
Yatha savojagrati supta shaktayo.
Yatha Savo Jagrati Supta Shaktayo
Dravya kriya jnana veda brahmatyaya.
Dravya kriya
Kriya Jnana
brahma atyaya.
Matyaya.
Just as the sunshine is non-different from the sun, the cosmic manifestation is also non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality is therefore all-pervasive within this material creation. When the senses are active, they appear to be part and parcel of the body. But when the body is asleep, their activities are unmanifest. Similarly, the whole cosmic creation appears different and yet non-different from the Supreme Person. This confirms the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different, propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is simultaneously different and non-different from this cosmic manifestation. So Lord Chaitanya, his special contribution is to explain to us simultaneous one and difference, Achintya Bheda Abheda. So in the previous verse, it has been explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is like the root of a tree, is the original cause of everything. It was also explained how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-pervasive. He is present within everything in this material manifestation. Since the energy of the Supreme Lord is non-different from him, This material cosmic manifestation is also non-different from him, although it appears different. The sunshine is not different from the sun itself, but it is simultaneously also different. One may be in the sunshine, but he is not on the sun itself. Those who live in this material world are living on the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they cannot see him personally in the material condition. So simultaneous one and difference. When we are out in the sun, we say, I'm in the sun, but actually we are in the sunshine, right? When we go sunbathing, for example, we say, oh, I'm going to get some sun. So I'm in the sun, but actually it's the sunshine. You're not actually in the sun. So similarly, this material energy, being the energy of Krishna, is called non-different. But there's a difference still. It's not Krishna himself, it's Krishna's energy. Just as sunshine is different than the sun. In this verse, the word Padam indicates the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. As confirmed in Ishopanishad, Ishavasyam Idam Sarva. The proprietor of a house may live in one room of the house, but the entire house belongs to him. A king may live in one room in Buckingham Palace, but the entire palace is considered his property. It is not necessary for the king to live in every room of that palace for it to be his. He may be physically absent from the rooms, but still the entire palace is understood to be his royal domicile. So Prabhupada is helping us explain that how this material world also belongs to Krishna. It is Krishna's energy, no? So just as the king, in his palace, he may have like thousands of rooms, but he's not going to live in 1,000 rooms. He's going to live in one room. But it doesn't mean the 1,000 rooms don't belong to him. They still belong to him. Or even ourselves, we may be having 2 rooms and we may be living in one room. Doesn't mean the other room does not belong to us. The sunshine is light. The sun globe itself is light, and the sun god is also light. However, the sunshine is not identical with the sun god Vivaswan. So the sun god, from his body, the sunlight is coming, right? And that's why the sun planet is also shining. So that's why Prabhupada is saying the sunshine is light. The sun globe is light. The sun god is light. But Vivaswan is a person. He's the sun god. But we are not calling the sunshine Vivaswan. We're calling the sun god Vivaswan. This is the meaning of simultaneously one and different. Achintya Bhed Aveda Tattva. All the planets rest on the sunshine, and because of the heat of the sun, they also revolve in their orbits. On each and every planet, the trees and plants grow and change colors due to the sunshine. Being the rays of the sunshine is non-different from the sun. Similarly, all the planets residing on the sunshine are non-different from the sun. The entire material world is completely dependent on the sun, being produced by the sun, and the cause, the sun, is inherited in its effects, in the effects. Similarly, Krishna is the cause of all causes, and the effects are permeated by the original cause. The entire cosmic manifestation should be understood as the expanded energy of the Supreme Lord. So everything belongs to Krishna. The sun belongs to Krishna. The sunshine belongs to Krishna. The planets belong to Krishna. The trees belong to Krishna. All these are different manifestations of Krishna's energy. They belong to Krishna. They are Krishna's. When one sleeps, the senses are inactive, but this does not mean that the senses are absent. When one is awakened, the senses become active again. Similarly, this cosmic creation is sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. When the cosmic manifestation is dissolved, it is in a kind of sleeping condition, an inactive state. Whether the cosmic manifestation is active or inactive, the energy of the Supreme Lord is always existent. So the material energy, because it belongs to Krishna, it is eternal. Devi Esha Gulamai. Krishna says this material energy consisting of three modes of nature is divine. Why is it divine? Because it's connected to Krishna, belongs to Krishna. So just as Krishna is eternal, his energies are eternal. So the material energy is also eternal. The difference is the material energy sometimes is manifested, sometimes not manifested. The creation is sometimes manifested and sometimes not. Creation. But the material energy is always there. She is eternal. So to understand, Prabhupada is giving the example. When we are sleeping, our eyes are closed. We can't see anything. Doesn't mean we don't have eyes anymore. It's just it's inactive. When we wake up, we will be able to see with the eyes. So similarly, material energy, when she's inactive, when she's sleeping, there's no cosmic manifestation happening. Doesn't mean the material energy does not exist. She exists, just a sleeping condition. So whether the cosmic manifestation is active or inactive, the energy of the Supreme Lord is always existing. Thus the words appearance and disappearance apply only to the cosmic manifestation. The cosmic world, that we can see, the world, the universes, all the planets and the trees and the flowers, all this cosmic manifestation, sometimes it's manifest, sometimes it's all dormant, all sleeping. Is that okay? So, but it belongs to Krishna. This material energy belongs to Krishna. She's not independent of Krishna. Someone may think the material energy, the universal energy, universal light is independent of Krishna. No, belongs to Krishna. Krishna says, this energy is my energy. He's saying it in the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shilpa. Yeah. Wanted to still, I'm not too clear in what way, like, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that the Lord, Supreme Lord is Achintya Bheda Abhedya. Yeah. Could you just explain? So in what way is this? Yeah.
Simultaneous, one and different.
Yes. Yeah.
So one in quality and different in quantity. So Lord Chaitanya explained to us that because we are part and parcel of God, so God is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda. But God is unlimited. And we are minute part and parcel of God. So we are minute. Our potency is minute, whereas God's potency is unlimited. Just as a molecule of sunshine is different than the sun in potency, the full sun planet. The molecule of sunshine also has heat and light. And the full sun planet also has heat and light. But the quantity of heat and light in the total sun planet is very different than the heat and light in one molecule of sunshine. So that is the simultaneous one and difference.
So that means it's making comparison to the super soul and the soul. Is it?
Yes.
That's what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Okay. So it's
Super soul
comparison
and
to soul. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I thought
God,
like in what
super
way
soul.
the Supreme Lord is same simultaneously, same and different. But it is
Yeah.
comparing to the living entity and the Lord, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Comparing to the living entity and the Lord. That we are same like the Lord because
Okay.
we are
So in that
Satchidananda.
context, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that context. That's right.
Oh,
And different because our potency is completely different.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.